So because of some of the hot weather we've been having just lately, a lot of the plants have been responding really, really well in some cases. And I want to take you through a few of them that I think are excellent for hot and dry weather. And let's face it, that's the way we're heading, so we might as well embrace it and start moving our gardens that way. This one is Phlomis italica, and it is it's really a shrub. A lot of people see it as a perennial, but it's actually a shrub. And this year it's doing really, really well. Now I get to view this through the kitchen window, and this morning it caught my eye. Another reason for me coming out and doing this little video. So it's looking really good. It's probably, I think, 5 foot that. The books describe it as being 3 to 4 foot. But the year has been excellent, so everything's doing so well. The flowers are really nice. The flowers are definitely for bees. In fact, the bees are there at the minute. They're coming and going. And they're like this all day. They push up that little top section and then push themselves in for the nectar. And then, as a result, the pollen goes onto the backs and it gets distributed. And it's excellent. I absolutely love this plant now. There was a time when I thought it wasn't going to make it in this garden. I think the reason it's doing really well is because it's on a bit of a slope. And this is the driveway. So it's on a slope that is keeping the driveway dry. Hence it doing so well. Now, each year, I do tend to give this a little bit of a trim back. And it does come out onto the drive, so I have to trim back off the drive because we need access to go up to the car and up and down the driveway as well. So it has to be clipped back to a degree, and I'll show you that now. You can see under there the clip back that I did last year, which is starting to grow. I've actually taken some cuttings already of this one because I like it. I want it in other parts of the garden. I have actually got it in other parts of the garden as well, but this one is one of the oldest ones. So it's excellent. Now when you have this plant, or if you get this plant, leave it through winter because it has a nice winter structure. And then once spring kicks in properly, take out the dead and dying bits, or the crossing as usual, take them out and then reshape it and get that shape right. Now I wasn't going to show you this one, but because it's looking so good at the moment, I think I will show you it. And this is Achillea Chrysoma grandiflora. A bit of a flopping type plant and will require a little bit of support, but it's just beautiful at this time of the year. And this year it's doing the best I've ever seen it. Really looks nice up here. So it starts quite early in its leaf, and then what we're now, June, middle of June now, and it's got to this phase. Year on year it will get bigger and it will spread. So I take little bits and bobs out of it, pot them up, give them away or sell them. I haven't got it anywhere else in the garden. This is basically where I keep it. And it does quite well. This is Raponkum. And I want to show you this one because it's the time of year when it starts to show its flower in its true form, which is the pink one. So each one of these globulous, creamy coloured sections here, and this is very papery, they all produce this pink top. There's one here just starting. But I love it because it's so bizarre. And the shape's beautiful and it's in a dry area. Now this garden isn't all dry. I'm showing you these because everything in the dry garden or the gravel garden is looking so good at the moment, and that's because of the dry weather and hot weather that we've been getting. Now this goes by several other names. I'll put the full name on the screen as I always do to show you, and if you can get hold of this one, get it. It needs to be split at the right time of the year, which is really, it's in spring, early spring. As soon as you see the growth coming up, that's the time to split it. Just to the left, and as you all know, I'm a big grass fan. this is finally coming out. The tallest so far, but then it has been in 5 years. And this is a Cortaderia. Don't fear Pampas grasses. This is commonly called Toto, where it comes from in New Zealand. And in my opinion is probably the best Pampas grass in existence. I love it. And it's called Cortaderia richardii. A lovely clump forming grass that will spread itself around. I found 1 or 2 seedlings that have not really been very good themselves, so I've never really come onto anything. So if you get a good one like this one, it's probably better to split it in early spring again when it starts showing new growth. Unfortunately, or fortunately, it's evergreen. So that's quite hard to predict when to do it because of the evergreen. Now I do take out some of the, let's get you round to it. I do take out some of the brown leaves that have died away. I go in there from time to time and I pull them away. And you do get the odd flower or seed head that does this, flops to the side. Now it did exactly the same last year. And all I do is I clip them back. Any that are not going in the direction I want them to go in, they simply get clipped back. And it is a fantastic, large, imposing and impressive grass. And if you've got room for this in your garden, put it in. You can keep it in a pot, but does better in the ground, as all plants do. I'll just briefly mention the Shirley Poppies. And they're looking really good. So that's Papiva roeas, and they are fantastic. And if we've got a hot year like we have now, they come out by the thousands. Now I obviously select some of the plants, leave some and then take others out. Now strictly speaking, that should be white if it's to be considered the Shirley poppy, and it's not. Whereas the one next door to it is. So you can see that white throat where the bee is, that can be considered a true Shirley poppy. So just a brief mention of those as we pass. So up at Grassy Bottom, we're quite fortunate to have these quite wide steps. They must be 10 foot wide. And the good thing about these steps is that it allows us to let this Erigeron carvinskianus, the Mexican fleabane, grow all over it. Now, I've not planted one of those. You just simply let them seed themselves around. And they reward you with scenes like this. They will come back every year. I do clip them back a little bit, should they need it. But they produce this fantastic little daisy-like flower. And it's a popular plant, this one. And rightly so. It's a beauty. Some people class it as a bit of an invasive species because it seeds everywhere, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's good. It's easy to pull out should you not want it where it's growing. Dead easy. There's one growing here in semi-shade, doing quite well. And I just allow them to seed around. And if I find any in the garden themselves, I either lift them and pot them, or I leave them alone, or I redistribute them around the garden, because you can never have enough of this particular plant. Very squat, very small. Definitely worth getting. Now if you was to go to a garden centre and buy those, you're looking at £8–10 easily for a pot, and probably a 1 litre pot at that. So if you can find them around, bit of a bonus. So yesterday I took out a miscanthus, one called Beth Chatto, that I thought would look good in the corner where the box edge is, the box edge being that there. Now, I've got a few of these box edges around. That one was in the wrong place in the gravel area, so I removed it and put it there. And so we've got an accidental kind of marrying up, or a little design trick here. And this morning, while I was looking out the back windows here, I spotted it with this Ligostichum. And the domed shape of the Ligostichum marries up beautifully with it. I knew the box edge would look good there. I had considered putting that there initially, but decided on the miscanthus in the end. But it didn't work. So if you do make a mistake, don't worry about it. Just change it. Who's gonna know? Well, you all know now because I've told you. But this one, this Ligusticium, is one called lucidum, and it's a subspecies called lucidum. And again, it's a pollinator plant. You can see there's bees flying around all over it. Where's it gone? There it is. So you can see bees love it. They're always on it. And then finally, what will happen is it will go to this phase, which means it's been pollinated, and then that flower will set seed and die away. Now, this is what we call monocarpic. And this should have been monocarpic from last year, but this bit grew again. So I'm assuming that in the pot I bought, there must have been 2 plants. Now, the original one has presented me with some seedlings, and I've lifted some, put them into pots, and I've grown some from seed as well, and they've done quite well. But as you can see, it's a fantastic plant that I am going to start pushing around the whole of the garden. It'll sit lovely between plants. It pushes itself up and through. And at this time of year, it gives you that look. So why wouldn't I? And it's a beauty. So let's see if we can find a little seedling to show you. There we go. There's one down the bottom there. I'll show you. I don't want to confuse it with any weeds. That one there, that's a baby. That's a seedling. Now it's in the wrong place. So I'll give it a little bit longer, but then I will remove it. I won't leave it too long because it has a bit of a taproot. So you need to get them up quite quick. But at this time of year, definitely worth having that plant. So I want to show you this one, this particular grass, because of its unusual stem colour. So getting close, and you can see it has a creamy white stem on the actual plant itself, which goes up into the seed heads. And I think it's a beauty. And this is Calamagrostis, and one called Avalanche. As its name suggests, it should be more avalanchy, so the seed heads will splay a little bit more than they are doing. I've got them in shade, or semi-shade here, which is probably keeping them tall and upright. But it's a lovely little plant. It can seed around. I never find them off this plant, but it can seed around. It's not sterile, or I don't believe it's sterile. And it's another plant or a grass that's definitely worth getting. And it does well in pots, this one. So it's that creamy stem that I love. And is more unusual in the Calamagrostis family. The other one that does it is another form called Eldorado, which is a golden form. But both are equally good. So yet again, you can see this is a pollinator plant, and you can see the little bee there. Now this is what I build my bee hotels for. These little bees here are tiny. They can be as little as 2 millimeters and go up to about 8 millimeters, but beautiful little creatures that do a lot of the pollinating without any recognition. Now this is Cephalaria gigantea, and its size refers not only to the flower head, and you can see they are quite big, but also to the tallness of the plant. This year, that's only made 5 foot. Last year, it was definitely up to 7, if not 8 feet. But year in year, they change. So one year it could be good, the next year it could be pretty basic and pretty boring. And that's what's happened in this case. But it's a very, very nice perennial. You must be careful with this one because it will set seeds all over the place. I found several, I've potted some up. They're not all doing very good this year because of the dry weather, so that's actually helped with the self-seeding. It stops it a little bit, to a certain degree anyway. But I love it. It mixes well with my grasses. That's why I have it. So it's got a bit noisy at the minute because we're across from a school and I'm still off with my hand. And it is going in time for the little kiddies, so it's a bit noisy, but I don't mind it. I quite enjoy it actually. It's quite nice, the life. So this one I'm only mentioning this one because of its growth rate. It's about to flower, not flowering yet, but I will re-show this one once the flower head comes out again. This one's Cynara cardunculus, and it'll have a huge purple flower head once it gets a bit taller. Now just behind it, we've got this one here, so we better show you this one because this is not going to be here for much longer. This is Rheum palmatum tanguticum. There's the seed heads. It started white, if you remember from my previous videos, and now it's gone to this ready phase, this seed phase. Now they are seeds that will spread around, but I never find any seedlings. And then they'll just die away at this phase. Now what I tend to do once we get to this phase, and I will be doing it anytime soon, to readjust the camera for you, is I will clip them right to the base. Because what happens is once they've done their thing and start setting seed or releasing seed, the leaves become a little bit sacrificial, so they start dying away, so they're never ever as interesting. Now one thing with this plant, you must remember to give it plenty of water, and water it all the time, because if you don't, in a hot summer, it definitely fades away very quickly, and that's not a good look. So I water it when I can, but basically when we fill the wildlife dip pools, which I had to do again yesterday because of the heat, that overspills into it, so it's actually sending up a few new leaves in there. You can't really see them, and I'm not going to go in there, but I will be taking out some of the bigger leaves towards the bottom, with the ones that aren't looking good. Again, I'll briefly mention this one only for the fact that it is at least 1.5 feet shorter than it was last year, and again down to the weather. Should do okay in this sort of weather if it can get enough moisture early on, and it's had a fair bit. I'm trying not to supplement too much. I'll give it the odd little gallon or two in there, but not much. So as a result, it's not as tall as it usually is. That's Calamagrostis acutiflora Carl Forster, one of my favourites, and a very lovely plant because or grass, because it doesn't set seed, or very rarely sets seed. So a good one for the novice. So this is Persicaria polymorpha, well worth mentioning because of the size, and at this time of the year it produces that lovely creamy white flower. This is the one I often say reminds me of fox pea, or the scent of it does. It is a clumper, slowly spreading. I've kept it in the sheep bale feeder, the metal thing you can see to the right of it. Just point it out to you there. I've kept it in there. It doesn't need to be in there. It doesn't need to be contained. It can sit in a border. I've been up to Yorkgate Garden recently, and that I had several of these dotted around. And I think what they tend to do is lift them, split them back down, pop them in, so they're always looking like a small plant. But this is the size they will eventually make. Now that must be 6 foot across at the top, but below it's probably only in a clump that's probably 2 foot wide. But it's a beauty. Let's get a bit of a closer look for you. Now with this one, it tends to be the flies that pollinate this one. I think I've seen the odd bee on it, but it tends to be fly pollinated. I'm getting that scent now of fox pea. If you've never smelt fox pea, then get this plant and you'll know what it smells like. Now I've lived in the countryside for years, so I know exactly what fox pea smells like. So there you go, a few really nice plants for this time of year. All are impressive, all are good doers, and hopefully you've seen one or two that you might like to invest in and get yourselves. Any questions, fire away. And if you can give this video a like and a share, I'd appreciate that. And if you subscribe, it doesn't cost anything. Bit of a wrong use of a word, really. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe, but you get to see my videos. If you press the bell that's actually on the screen, that'll notify you when I upload other videos. Okay, thanks for looking, and I'll talk to you on the next one. Ta-da!